Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, and I hope you guys are doing great. So in my today's video, I'm going to talk to you about a company called Timex Group Limited. We're going to go through their recent result and understand the numbers and see what is the FY27 holds for them. But before we get into that, I just tell you in brief what does the company does. So the company is into manufacture and selling of watches, right? And they manufacture these watches in India only. They have a plant in Himachal Pradesh in the area called Baddi, where they manufacture these watches and then they sell it in India through various retailers, through their own shops, online, everywhere. So that's their main business, or you call the bread and butter, right? If you look at their Q4 number, right, their revenue increased by almost 73% to 235 crores, and PAT was up by almost 212% to 27 crores. And if you look at the FY26 revenue as a whole, it grew by almost 48% to 800 crores, and PAT was up by almost 152% to 75 crores. And we see that they were not only able to increase their revenue, but they were able to get good enough operating level. Because if you look at the full year revenue, full year profit, right, it almost tripled compared to the sales growth. And if you look for the Q4 FY26 profit, also almost tripled compared to the revenue growth. And that also happened in the back of the increase in the operating margin, because last year the operating margin they had was around 9%. It has improved to 14%. So this clearly shows the efficiency and the how to say the contribution from the premium brands also. So I'll talk to you about those how to say those brands later. So this is one of the main reason. And if you look from the geopolitical issues and their impact, right? So the management said in terms of demand, they don't see much issues at all. So they feel that the demand will continue. But in case if this war thing continues or persists for a long time, then they might see a slight drop in demand. But we have to wait and see for that. And in terms of the raw material prices, they said that the raw material prices are going to increase by close to around 10 to 12% for the watches, but it will not in any way impact the margins, is because they're going to pass on this extra cost to the consumer. So they don't see any contraction of margin at all. And if you look at the growth, what they got, right, for the year of FY26, which is quite great. So the management was very clear on that growth. The growth came from all different brands in the portfolio, right? Not just one specific area or specific brand, but it grew overall. And what the other thing that they said, right, the increase, the increased demand of premium franchises, or premium brands, which also helped in increasing the overall sales. And they saw good growth in their Guess brand, and they saw great growth in the e-commerce section also. The people are buying watches, more online. Personally, if you ask me, I don't prefer buying watches online, because I prefer to wear them and see, and then only I buy it. But obviously, everyone has different preferences. And over here, we can see that the demand on the e-commerce side also is growing quite a lot. And at the same time, if you look at their expenses on advertising and sales promotion, it is like if you look at the Q4, and if compared to the last year, it almost increased by 100% to 22 crores. And if you look for the whole year, it increased by almost 50% to 66 crores. And if you ask me personally, this is a good money spent, because we can clearly see the revenues are growing and the profits are also growing. See, it's one thing for a company to increase their advertising and sales promotion expenses, but it is one thing for it to translate into sales. In case of Timex, it is happening, and which is a good sign. In case if it doesn't work, then it could be a problem. And the other thing which is happening with them, right, in their growth, right, because the Timex, how to say, brand, right, they have watches for every kind of consumers, right? So they have entry level watches up to 10,000 rupees. Then they have fashion brand watches between 10,000 to 25,000 K. Then they have these watches, which they call them bridge to luxury, between 25,000 to 1 lakh rupees. And then they have luxury brands which are more than 1 lakh. So if you see, they are catering to all various kinds of customer. And if I just talk about another watch company which is listed is Ethos, right? So they are only into luxury. They are only into luxury watches, which are close to the average selling price is close to around 2 lakh and above. So for them, they are how to say, their overall consumer or customer section is concentrated. But over here, if you look at Timex, right, they can literally grow much more and much more farther, because they are not just catering to the the luxury side of the customers, but they're even catering to people who like fashion watches, people at the at the entry level, and the people who want to go to luxury but they cannot afford it at that point of time. And that is the reason why we can see this amazing growth which is happening with them. In terms of guidance, if we see, we do not see any revenue guidance or profit guidance for the next year. But I personally believe that they'll be able to maintain their, the way they have been doing for the past couple of years, and the way they have done this. I think they'll be easily able to maintain their revenue growth of at least 30% and above. And obviously, we have to wait and see the Q1 number to see if there's any impact of this, the recent war which has been happening on the demand or not. If there is no issue on the demand, I think the growth will continue. And at the same time, obviously, the other thing what they are doing is right. They are adding these new brands and everything. If you remember last year, they added Aston Martin watches, which was a huge contribution, especially for people who love cars and who love Formula Ones. They've recently ordered, brought a new brand called as Signio for premium occasion wear watches. So what they are trying to do, they're just not trying to stand still and see how things are going. At the same time, they see that the demand is there. The people, what are the requirements of these customers, and according to them, they're adding these new brands. So let's see what all new brands that they add this year. At the same time, the brands which they have added last year will also definitely contribute over there. So this is all for Timex for now. I'll definitely look for the Q1 number and I'll keep you guys posted. Thank you for watching this video. If you like the analysis, please do hit like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you and God bless you.